Many famous comedians didn't start out aiming for laughs. They began in fields like law, medicine, and the military. These were stable, respected careers, but something drew them to the unpredictable world of comedy. Taking a major risk, they left it all behind for the stage, and ended up becoming icons who redefined what it means to be funny. These are comedians who quit their first careers for comedy. One of the most surprising examples is Ken Jeong. Before he was leaping out of car trunks in The Hangover or stealing scenes in Community, Ken Jeong was a licensed physician. He didn't just dabble in medicine, he was a fully practicing internal medicine doctor.
Hi, this is Dr. Ken Jeong of Dr. Ken, and welcome to Doc Support. First question from Ashley at Queasy Bake. How do I know if I have the stomach flu or a hangover? Well, honey, did you drink last night? Glug glug? Did you have food or did you have alcohol? The internet is not for stupidity, ma'am. The internet is for smart, established doctors like me and my friend Lewis here. Think before you tweet.
Jeong earned his MD and completed his residency, all while harboring a deep passion for comedy. He often performed stand-up in the evenings after long hospital shifts. His breakout moment came not in an emergency room, but on the big screen. And since then, he's remained a powerful example of how dramatically one's life can change when you lean into your passions. Another example of a medical professional turned into a comedic icon is Graham Chapman of Monty Python fame. Chapman was also a doctor, trained in medicine before he dove into absurdist sketch comedy.
Well, this week, an NBC station, refused to air a commercial for the new movie, The Secret Policeman's Other Ball. NBC censors ruled that the ad was so objectionable, it couldn't even be shown on this program. Let's take a look at it.
In the hands of most people, medical school would be the kind of time-consuming career path that left no room for whimsy, but not for Chapman. While his education helped shape his analytical mind, it was his wit that found a home in Monty Python. He brought a special kind of intelligence to comedy, an ability to observe human behavior and satire it to perfection. From scalpels to sketches, Chapman's career turn became a historic one. Similarly, Adam Kay, he started his professional life as a junior doctor in the UK's National Health Service. The brutal hours, emotional strain, and systemic problems eventually wore him down.
She took it very well. It's important not to lie to your patients, and she said, well, at least it didn't go any further than that.
Kay chose to leave medicine behind and turn his pain into prose and laughter. He wrote This Is Going to Hurt, a book that hilariously and heartbreakingly documents his experiences in medicine. The book became a bestseller, and Kay has since evolved into a performing writer, bringing his work to stages across the UK. His comedy has an edge of tragedy, a sense of reality that only someone who has dealt with real-world life and death could offer. Wanda Sykes also had a far more serious job before embracing her comedic talents. She worked as a procurement officer at the National Security Agency, a role that required a high-level security clearance. Government jobs are about as stable and serious as it gets. Sykes, with her razor-sharp wit and dynamic stage presence, seemed worlds away from the bureaucratic world of national defense logistics.
We're back with Wanda Sykes. Here's the thing that people may not know that I only learned from you the last time I spoke to you is that when you were younger, you worked at the NSA, the National Security Agency.
Worked at the National Security Agency.
What did you do at NSA?
I was basically a procurement specialist. I bought stuff.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
Microphones and listening devices and
I
stuff
bought
like
stuff,
that.
Steven.
All right.
I bought stuff.
But her sharp observational humor perhaps found its roots in all those years of watching people operate within a system so tied up in rules and structure. Sykes traded in her security badge for a mic, and the world got one of its most distinct comedic voices in return. Drew Carey also came from a disciplined, structured background. He served 6 years in the U.S. Marine Corps. As a field radio operator in the 25th Marine Regiment, Carey lived a life governed by protocol, precision, and order. And yet, after his service, he took on various odd jobs like being a bank teller and a waiter, eventually trying his hand at stand-up.
You were in the Marine Reserve.
Yes,
there you are. Leatherneck, devil dog.
I had my day.
There you go.
I had my day.
When did you join? How old were you?
I was 22 or something. So I was in for 6 years in the reserves, and I got out in '86. I got out like a few months after I started doing stand-up.
Carey's comedy often reflects a sense of grounded humility, possibly shaped by his time in the military. He went on to star in The Drew Carey Show and eventually took over hosting duties for The Price is Right, becoming a mainstay in American pop culture. Next up is David Letterman. One of the most influential figures in late-night television, also began his career in an entirely different realm, weather reporting.
The same holds true for Iowa, and flooding all over. In fact, portions of Indiana at one time yesterday were under a flash flood warning, but all of that seems of little importance once you take a look at the cloud cover photograph made earlier of the United States today, and I think you'll see that once again we've fallen to the prey of political dirty dealing.
Before moving to Los Angeles to pursue comedy, Letterman was a weatherman in Indianapolis. Known even then for his sarcastic and offbeat humor, he quickly grew out of the role, setting his sights on bigger laughs. His move to comedy wasn't just a career change, it was the start of a legacy. Letterman redefined the late-night format and inspired generations of comedians with his dry wit and irreverent interviews. Ricky Gervais, he has also followed a surprising route into comedy. Known globally for creating The Office, Gervais didn't start his career behind a desk in TV production. Instead, he was the frontman for a glam pop duo called Siona Dancing. The band never quite broke into the mainstream in the UK, but they did enjoy some unexpected popularity in the Philippines. While music may have been his first foray into the spotlight, it was his brutally honest, often awkward brand of comedy that catapulted him into international fame.
NBC clearly don't care either, 5th time. So, I mean, Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars because of some offensive tweets. Hello? Lucky for me, the Hollywood foreign press can barely speak English, and they've no idea what Twitter is. So, I got offered this gig by fax.
Gervais used his background in entertainment to master comedic timing, creating moments that feel both uncomfortable and hilarious in equal measure. Whoopi Goldberg's journey to the stage also took some unconventional detours. Before becoming one of only a few entertainers to win an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony, Goldberg worked as a beautician in a funeral home. That's right, her first audience didn't even have a pulse. It's the kind of job that makes stand-up comedy seem light and breezy by comparison. Her time in that eerie environment likely helped her develop the unshakable poise she now brings to every performance.
Let them try to get rid of us. We're not going anywhere. We've been here longer than most anybody. We're not going.
Goldberg's comedy has always balanced depth with levity, wisdom with wit, qualities you'd expect from someone who's seen life and death up close. Lastly, Phil Hartman, the beloved Saturday Night Live cast member, also started his career in a creative field, but not as a performer. He was a graphic designer who created album covers for big-name bands like Steely Dan and America. Hartman's eye for aesthetics and his understanding of storytelling through visuals later translated beautifully into sketch comedy. When he transitioned into performance, his versatility shone through. He could play an outrageous character one moment and deliver a subtle impersonation the next. Hartman's transition from art to comedy proved that creativity isn't bound by medium. Sometimes it just needs a new stage. These 10 comedians each left behind stability, prestige, or even passion in another field to pursue the uncertain path of making people laugh. Their previous careers weren't failed experiments. They were part of what shaped their unique comedic voices. Whether it was precision from accounting, discipline from military service, empathy from medicine, or creativity from graphic design, their prior experiences enriched their humor. Their stories are a reminder that it's never too late to pivot, to risk comfort for fulfillment, and to trust that what makes you laugh just might be what gives your life meaning. In the end, they didn't just quit jobs. They chose joy, impact, and a legacy of laughter.